Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And starting things off briefly with talking about PTCG Live for a minute, we have an update coming out on Tuesday, the 18th. So it'll be down for the day, as always. But they're doing this is the biggest update in a year. It was a year ago, I think February 20th or 21st of last year, that they gave us the battle log. So that was good. And they haven't really done much in the meantime. They made the economy worse and kind of keep things the rest kind of stagnant. But three
Oh,
things.
they
First,
sorry, they did add
go on.
in a I'd say a more I don't know, they changed the ranking, um
That's true.
which I think a lot of people were asking for. I personally was not, and I haven't really heard anything positive about it, but that was something that people were asking for a lot.
Right, the ranking and the special, maybe the special Arceus area, and but people aren't happy with it. So we'll see what happens. That's true. That was a change as well. Good point. So, but three things. This one, the first one is the biggest change I think in a year, and people have been asking this for over 2 years, and that we can now, once this update happens, we can mute our opponents' reactions, their emotes in the game. So glad for that, right? I hasn't happened. Doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally you get emote spam by opponents. It's no fun. So finally we can turn that off. I assume you're glad about that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a setting outside the game, like or outside the match, or within the match where like, oh, you mute this person during this match, or if it's like, oh, I'm gonna mute everyone. Because I'd rather personally it be like, oh, I can mute everyone, or I can turn it back off. But it's a nice feature. One that I think should have been there. I don't want to be that person saying like, I am happy that it is being removed, but it's certainly something that would have been nice to have a little earlier, but regardless, it's good.
Right. I mean, people have been asking for it. It doesn't seem like it should be that hard, but they're finally getting a couple features from PTCGO finally after 2 years. So turning off emotes, yeah, ideally it could be a a game setting, but also be because I'd like to leave the emotes on because I don't mind seeing an emote or two. If my opponent wants to, if it's something reasonable, but I want to be able to mute it in the match. So if they start spamming me, so we'll see how that works. There is something, and I don't know what it is. There's gonna be a new quote click to place feature that's gonna be added. I don't know what that is. So time will
Yeah,
tell
it
what
might
that
have to be
is.
with helping with like mobile players, specifically as like a different way to place cards, and so people stop
Okay.
like I don't know. I haven't really heard many reports of this, but you kind of like make misclicks. So maybe to help with that, I'm not really sure. I suppose like dragging you into place, but that could be.
Yeah, it could be like that, and hopefully it all works well, right? But the two other good things, which is we can now remove match timers in friends matches, so which is a good thing both for if you because obviously limitless tournaments are using friends matches, so you have the option to have it untimed if you want, although that's not so good. But more particularly if you want to like be testing or just be real casual with a friend and talk either about your plays if you're in a serious testing mode or just kind of playing casually. You don't want that timer clicking all the time.
Wait,
So again, I
sorry,
think
sorry.
that's a
Can you
plus.
repeat exactly like what it said?
So players can now remove match timers when challenging their friends to a match.
So does this mean that they're removing action timers as well? Because I feel like that's the thing. Removing match timer is nice, but
Mm.
if you can still, time out, I don't know how long it is, but like through an action, that's something that you might want to take a bunch of time with and talk through or something like that. So hopefully that's also not there. But yeah, I'm not
That's
sure.
that's true. That's actually the bigger issue, right? The action timer rather than the whole your whatever. What do we have? 20 minutes now for a game per player, I think. So
Yeah, which is quite a bit.
yeah, that's not really the problem. It is those action timers when you want to take a little longer to think about something or discuss it if that's what you're using the game for. Um, but a plus. And then the third thing is if a player has knocked out opposing Pokemon that have a combined prize card value greater than or equal to the number of prize cards remaining, the prize cards are auto-selected for them. So you don't have to
Ooh,
wait
that's
around for your opponent to actually click the cards, right? So that's a plus as well.
yeah. This is the thing in Pokemon TCG Online. Definitely early days, and I've still seen this happen. Some people, including myself, admittedly, would take the knockout and then like forget to take their prizes. You kind of just like sit there having essentially lost, but your opponent hasn't quite done it, and then eventually it'll like do it. I believe it'll automatically do it once they time out. It'll just like select random ones, aka all of them, and then just win. But yeah, that's cool. Obviously not like a massive change, but nice.
No, so three small changes, all three things that we had in PTCGO. So anyway, that it's a bit of a sad statement that this is the biggest changes to the game of the year, but they are all on the positive side as well.
Yeah, I'll say if we got something like this every month, then which these are things that they should like theoretically could do
Yeah.
every month. I think that's a reasonable expectation. I think then live will be going in a good direction. It's obviously not been um, you know, they haven't been doing that much stuff. They did the weird like evolution event, which is I don't really
No,
know
that's
what's
been
going on with that. And then there's the
uh,
challenges, which are like kind of hard. Well, I don't know if hard. They're kind of not fun, but they're trying something, so that's cool, I guess. And we'll see where live ends up in 6 months from now.
yeah, no, that's a good point. What you said, I think this is they need to be doing. These are small changes. I think most of them, they should be making some of these changes every month, right, to have a sense of progress, which they're not doing. So hopefully they can kind of continue on with it. And they're doing other things like fixing the big issue that catchphrases didn't always appear at the start of a match, which I know has been a high priority for both of us as
Oh
well.
yeah,
So
I keep forgetting that those exist. There's like the animations, there's the victory and like defeat animations.
yes.
There's like lots of stuff that I haven't really heard people talk about, which has obviously taken some of their time. And so hopefully they do, prioritize the important things as opposed to, changing the animations every um, update, like every 2 weeks. But anyways, let's talk
Yep.
about the stuff that we're all here for. Live stuff is important, but we're going to be talking about some of these are new card reveals, some of these are not super new, but these are the trainers Pokemon. Trainers Pokemon, if you are not aware, they are, well, obviously, there are different trainers or characters in the Pokemon franchise, and they have Pokemon, and so this is representing those. So, for example, we have you have N with Darmanitan here and Joltik, and these are Pokemon. They're called N's Darmanitan, N's Joltik, so they have different names, which is meaningful. They are separate evolution lines. They interact with each other, and they also have trainers to support them. And they have, they're kind of like little packages, kind of like how Future or Ancient work. There's less of them, but they are. One style, and so you have a bunch of different styles journey together. The first set of the year, or the first main set of the year, will be
Yep.
having four trainers. The next set of the year, Destined Rivals, I believe, will have seven, um, maybe more. There's like a Hops Pincurchin EX that's like floating around. I don't know when we're going to get that, but regardless, we're going to get a bunch of trainers, and they're all going to have somewhat unique things. We're going to talk about them, talk about how good we think they are, and then also there's some interesting like design stuff that we're gonna look at as well, because there's already some overlap, which I've noticed.
Okay, between the different trainers, because I believe there's like going to be 11 trainers. I think that's what I know of. I think we have cards for nine with another couple that we expect to happen. So a lot more things than like say the battle styles or ancient and future, which opens up more options, but also then makes them smaller sets of cards too. So that's the strength of the weakness of that
Yeah,
there, I'd say.
I'd say there may be, if you want to look at it from the other side, they're kind of like these I don't know if I want to necessarily say meme decks, but like these pretty niche like archetypes, like say Reggie's or United Wings, except to expand upon a little bit more depth, and more so instead of specific interactions, more general theming, such as increased damage throughout the different Pokemon or certain synergies, and like searching out the other ones, or being like really tanky or something like that.
Yes, and I also think from Pokemon's in a corporate sense, I imagine it's very going to be very appealing to collectors, right? And they
Yeah.
can make sell lots of cards.
Yeah, and I will say these are like kind of cool, because to me, so you on Common Fossil haven't really done, you have very little like interactions with the Pokemon franchise as a whole, right?
Yes, basically, I play the TCG a little bit of Pocket too, but it's as a card game, right? It's not. I'm more focused on it as a game rather than as part of the Pokemon franchise.
Yeah, I have a little more. I watched the anime some and certainly have like experience with the franchise, so it's kind of cool to see some of your favorite characters get cards and different people. This is something that can kind of get people into the TCG. I know someone who's a massive fan of Iono and Belly Bolt, and so they're really excited to get their hands on the and like mess around with the Iono's Belly Bolt stuff. So I think it's like cool. It's not something that is mechanic wise anywhere near as impactful as like EXs or Vs or V stars or tag teams or these like really substantial mechanical changes, but it's again something kind of like battle styles or paradox Pokemon or Ultra Beasts or something like that.
Yeah, and that's a good point about bringing players in. I think with Pocket coming out, people that's brought people into the game, certainly into live. I think there's more people trying that out, and this will get people into the TCG, so that's a plus as well. So, you want to, well, should we just dive into the cards now?
Yeah, yeah, and let's
At this,
start with Cynthia's Pokemon. Cynthia's are actually the ones that were revealed. I sent a message to you like last night before recording this, and I was like, yeah, so we've heard about, I think it was like 8 trainers, and we haven't heard anything about Cynthia's Pokemon, but now we have. So these are just revealed. Hopefully, between recording this and posting it, there aren't like Arvin's Pokemon revealed, which could happen. But anyways, Cynthia's Pokemon have a bunch of different types here. We have the first one I'll talk about, I guess, is the Garchomp line. By the way, we're looking at this on, I believe, Justin Basil's website. That's what I'm looking at, which has proxies. So these aren't what the actual cards look like. They're pretty close, but regardless, you have Cynthia's Gibble for one fight. I'm just going to skip this one. But Cynthia's Gabite here, which says, and keep in mind again, this is Cynthia's Gabite, so Garchomp EX is it's not an amazing card, but it's an okay card. It does not evolve from this. But you have your ability King's Call. When starting your turn, you may search your deck for Cynthia's Pokemon, reveal them, put into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Do we want to go through all of them first, and like I'll read them all out, and then we'll talk about them, or should we like stop as we go?
all the cards. I mean, look, it's. I think we'll pause and talk about it in a minute because I don't know that it's going to take that long, right? So like it's a very good ability if you're playing a Cynthia's deck, right? So
Yeah,
even if you didn't want to have the Garchomp, if you felt there are other ways to work the deck without the Garchomp, you're probably playing the Gigabyte. Although, and I think
goodbye.
you're going to play the Garchomp as well, but or the Gabite. Yeah, sorry. It's a very good ability. Its attack does 40 for one. That's not great, but a good, very good ability.
Yeah. Oh, also, I want to mention this. This is another card that I describe as a callback card. I think a lot of these trainers Pokemon have a lot of, I guess, like nostalgic elements. I'm not super familiar with super old cards, but I certainly am familiar with Gabite, like the regular Gabite from Dragons Exalted. I don't know if you're familiar with this card. It might have been the theme deck. I don't think it was. I don't really remember, but it was in the Legacy format. It wasn't like the best deck, but I think it was pretty popular and common as it wasn't that hard to get, and it allowed you to search for a Dragon Pokemon every turn. So definitely, I'm pretty sure a reference there. And then we have Cynthia's Garchomp EX though, which is obviously stage 2 evolves from it, and it has 330 HP, has free retreat, which is really nice. And then for one fighting you do 100, and you can draw till you have 6 cards in hand. And for two fighting you do 260, and you discard all energy from this Pokemon.
Right. So, and the HP is 330, so nice and tanky there, and free retreat. Um, discarding all the energy obviously is not ideal. 260 is less than you'd like to do, but it's for something tanky and in the first attacks, 100 extra cards can be good as well. So not a bad Pokemon.
Yeah, and then we need to talk about the there's a bunch of support for this,
Yeah.
or some support for this. We have Cynthia's Roserade, which says your Cynthia's Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Presumably this stacks. It only has one retreat, so it's not going to get stuck super easily. Its attacks 80 for Grass Colorless, so probably not amazing. And of course is a stage 1 here. And then there's also Cynthia's Spiritomb, or no, let's talk about Cynthia's Power Weight, which is a tool card. This says the Cynthia's Pokemon this card's attached gets 70 extra HP, which is quite a bunch. and it's just a normal tool. And then you have Cynthia's Spiritomb, which is a darkness basic for with 70 HP, and for one colorless, you do 10 damage for each damage counter on your bench Cynthia's Pokemon, and it is not affected by weakness. And there's no way to specifically get damage on your bench or on your Cynthia's Pokemon outside of them, being hit. Or you could, theoretically damage them yourself some way, though I can't think of anything particularly good for doing that.
Right. At least I know one of the other trainers does do like bench damage to yourself when you attack, but not the Cynthia, so that's awkward. But obviously, look, you play the Roserade, the grass one, just for the ability. It doesn't stack, right? So
No, I
I
think it
believe it
does. Wait, does
does
it
it.
say it doesn't stack?
Am I? I'm
No,
trying
it
to.
says your Cynthia's attacks, Pokemon's attacks do 30 more, and
Okay.
that's it. So, like, comparing it to Steven's Carabank, which says it does not stack.
Right. So it should stack. Sorry, I thought that misremembered that there. Um, so that's pretty good. And you have the tool. So now your Garchomp EX is at 400 HP. And now I have 390 damage on 4 Garchomps on my bench. So I'm really
390. Wait,
or,
what?
I'm sorry, 390, right? Because I have the tool attached, right? So
Wait,
now my
what? You mean the
Spirit
tool?
Bomb.
Wait,
You're breaking
390
up there.
damage? Sorry, 390 damage or 390 HP?
It's got 390 damage on it, damage counters,
Oh,
right? Because
yeah, from your opponent attacking you and coming
right,
up 10 short.
and I figure I'm going to set this up for turn two, well, maybe turn three, because it's 4 stage twos to get set up. But now I'm Spirit Top, Spirit Tomb. I should be swinging 1,000 on turn two, easy, right?
Yeah,
Easy,
yeah,
because I
yeah.
could do like 2,000 with a Spirit Tomb if I get things set up right.
Yeah, yeah. So realistically, 400 is a lot. Your opponent will definitely struggle to
Yes.
knock that out. Theoretically, yes, you could get multiple Cynthia's Garchomps set up, and with the tool on, or maybe even without it, you do have 330 HP, which, as you said, is tanky. And with the free retreat, you can switch between them. And then if your opponent doesn't have the gusting options, then your Cynthia's Spiritomb is like absurdly strong. I feel like Cynthia's Spiritomb isn't the main part. I feel like the main thing is
No.
Cynthia's Garchomp EX, um, and Cynthia's Gabite, and just flooding your board with those and Cynthia's Roserade to be hitting a bunch. Your first stack 100 isn't very good. Fighting weakness is like good to hit, but then you can boost this to. I feel like getting two Cynthia's Roserade in play is fair, which is 160, which is let's say it's enough to one shot Squawkabilly, but it's not with resistance. But you're doing solid damage, two shotting, and then your second attack is going to be boosted all the way up to 320, which again is not necessarily one shotting everything, but pretty close. So I feel like you're a really solid Pokemon here.
Yeah, no, it's tanky. I imagine, yeah, no, the Spiritomb you're going to probably play one of in the deck, maybe two. And again, we do lose. Well, we do lose to two in heavy ball, so you might play it. You might go from one to two in some cases. So you're going to play one or two as a secondary or late attacker. It's going to be the Garchomp
Wait,
line
wait, sorry.
is
What about Hisuian Heavy Ball?
so like if you want to play like one Cynthia Spiritomb, in the past you would play that and you would have played Hisuian Heavy Ball to
Oh
get to
yeah,
it. Now, because of that, these one of cards, you're gonna have to think. Some of them become two ofs in decks.
yeah,
That's all I'm saying for deck building thoughts. But it's mainly going to be a Garchomp focused deck. The getting the two energies in play isn't great. So it's gonna be a mix between the first attack doing 100 and drawing cards and the second, but you're super tanky. So as long as you're two shotting, they're one shotting, and you get one, say even one shot of course over the course of the game, that should put you in a chance to win games.
yeah. Also, we could get more Cynthia's Pokemon or Cynthia's support later on. I don't. I'm not sure. I don't. I don't know. I'm gonna be completely honest, but we definitely could get more Cynthia support, and that could be energy acceleration or something. I don't exactly know what it would be, but um, yeah, I think Cynthia's is solid. I think before the podcast, you said you thought it was really good.
I think, look, I have of two of these trainers that I think are the top of them, and I think Cynthia's is one of them from my perspective right now.
Okay, yeah, I think it's good. I think it's tanky. I've heard some people say they think it's broken. I don't think it's broken. I think it's like good. The damage is like okay. I mean, the damage theoretically is like absurd with a really impressive setup, but you need to kind of, you have Cynthia's Kavite to get you set up. You need to kind of luck into an amazing setup early on, but I think it is, yeah, I think it's good. Cynthia's Spirit Tomb could be amazing. Like, if your opponent, does substantial damage to you and comes up short, then it can be pretty insane.
Right, or things with spread decks, right? Or if they're playing Frost Last and putting damage counters on your Gabites and your Roserades and such, right? So it'll have a situation, and it's a colorless energy, so it's obviously, I think that's a sometimes one, like you said, the Garchomp is the big hitter, and I think it's got potential.
Yeah, and the tool's like good. I don't know exactly how good. Like 70 extra HP is kind of insane if it was just on any Pokemon. On these, I don't know exactly how good it is. I'm not super familiar with damage. Um, outputs post rotation. Like some decks will be able to one shot you still, but it's gonna be hard. Like Raging Bull Pond needs 6 energies, and that's a lot. It's doable, but hard. So we'll see what that situation looks like. And then obviously something like Charizard DX probably won't be able to one shot you. I'm trying to think like with Duskmore, but even then, that's going to be hard, I think. And they're giving up prizes to do so. So I think I think this deck's going to be good. It doesn't scream amazing to me.
No, I don't look. I'm not sure any of these are amazing because when you compare it up against like Charizard EX and Dragapult EX, I'm not sure any of these are at that level. Um, but this is certainly viable, is what I'll say. I just want to let you know your volume got a little funky a couple minutes ago. Got a little
Oh,
softer, in it sounds different. I've adjusted my level. I don't know if you're
oh, okay. Is this better?
good at
I
hearing. Yes.
I bumped my cord, pulled down my microphone or something like that. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, then let's move on to I think the next Pokemon, though, the next trainer. Do you have one you want to go to, or should I choose?
No, why don't you choose? We're sticking with the what should come out in the Destined Rivals, which is May 30th. That is the expected date for these cards.
Yep, internationally, and they'll be
Yes.
out sooner in Japan. But these cards, we have. We'll talk about the Stevens Pokemon, which I'm excited for. So we have Stevens Baltoy, which searches for two basic Stevens Pokemon, put them onto your bench for one colorless on a basic, which evolves into Stevens Claydol for one psychic. You do 20 in Confusion. And then you have Clay Blast here, your second attack on Stevens Claydol, which says you discard all energy from this Pokemon for Psychic Colorless. You do 220, which is like solid. And then you have Steven's Carebank, which says its ability Stone Palace, and it does not stack. This is the one I was talking about earlier that doesn't stack,
Yep.
but as long as it's on your bench, each of your Steven's Pokemon, it takes 30 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So presumably it's not going to be taking the less damage, because if your opponent, gusts it up, then you're not getting that reduction. Not sure why it has to be on the bench, but regardless, that is how it works. And then we have the Steven Skarmory, which is 30 for two colors, or for metal colors, you do 50 to two your opponent's Pokemon. And then we have Steven's Beldum and Steven's Matang. Unfortunately, again, these are separate evolution lines. Matang would be really solid with this, not like broken, but it would be good. But you cannot do that. We have Steven's Metagross EX, 340 HP. You have X Boot as your ability here. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a metal and a psychic energy, basic from your deck, and attach them to your psychic and metal Pokemon in any way you like. And you have an attack that's 200 from metal, colorless. And then the last card here is Granite Cave, which says Steven's Pokemon, both yours and your opponents, take 30 less damage from attacks from the opponent's Pokemon, but after weakness and resistance.
Right. And this would reduce damage to bench Pokemon as well, right? If they're hitting
Um,
your bench.
yeah, for both the Stevens Carabank and the Granite Cave Stadium.
Yeah. So look, I put a question mark with this one, I gotta say, because I'm concerned about it, but it has some significant upside as well. Let's talk Stevens and the Metagross here, right? Stage twos are always a bit tricky, right? And 200 damage to three energy is not great. 340 HP though, I'm liking that a lot. But the ability here is the good thing. You're accelerating from the deck, which is not from a hand, not from discard. So from the deck is probably the best place to accelerate from. Although sometimes the discard pile is better. But it's also any psychic or metal Pokemon, so it doesn't have to be with Steven's Pokemon. So this is one that could get used outside of the trainer's Pokemon deck, right? It could be a little bit more universal depending, what people want to do with it. Um, but so it's good. I'm concerned about how well you can set this up though within the deck.
What do you mean? Just one Stevens Metagross EX, like as an
Well, one or
attacking option,
well,
or
well, okay. So Steven's Metagross is not the attacker, right? In this deck, the
um,
I
well, what is
assume
the
the attack.
attacker?
Well, see, that's the one. Some of these decks, some of these trainers don't have good attacks. I think it's Stevens Claydol's the attacker. Does
Um,
220
yeah,
on
maybe.
a single prize, right? It's a stage one, but it's three energies, and the only way to set this up is with really well. You could do it with Gardevoir, of course, as well, but you're probably I don't. But there's better options for Gardevoir, I think. So you're going to do it with the right with the Metagross.
Yeah, I mean, then it is. Then we do get to the consistency issues of having a basic and or no, having a stage one and a stage two. But I think like Steven's Metagross EX self attacking is really nice because it's super tanky. Cynthia's Garchomp EX will have 400 HP with its tool. Steven's Metagross EX has 340 plus 60 reduction, which is kind of 400, but that's 400 if you're getting one-shotted. So if you're getting two-shotted, or like if you take multiple hits, you'll have essentially like you'll have absurd HP, reaching potentially up to like 500 equivalent HP, if you're getting hit like three times or something. Steven's Clay Doll is not tanky, right? It has 120 HP. You can
Right.
boost up to like 180, which is okay. You could even slap on a luxurious cape, which would put it up to like 280, which is like good, but um, it's not super tanky. I think Steven's Metagross EX's HP, like insane tankiness, is what I really like about it.
Okay, so just going tanky all in because yeah, hitting 220 isn't always enough anyway, right? With the clay doll. So now you're bringing me. So now this is basically I'm playing this like Luke Metal. Back I get to go back to my good old days there, right? With a super tanky metal Pokemon. That was a basic. This is a stage two. Gets trickier, but a lot of damage reduction. Maybe throw this in expanded with Luke Metal. I take 30 less damage, and I can play my metal goggles for another 30 less damage. So it's super tanky then, right?
Yeah, there's like
Um,
some metal tank options in standard, right? But I think it's there's the like full metal lab card, but that's a stadium. So it is an option, which if you run out of granite caves, you can start tossing those into play.
and if we had Cheryl in format, right, the supporter, I believe remembering the right one,
Yeah.
that it heals up all your evolutions, you discard all the energies, since it can power itself up every turn, right? That would be something like that would be super nice as well.
Yeah, you do have Professor Tur's scenario. It does scoop it up, which is like substantially worse in this situation,
Right.
because you need to evolve again, which might require a rare candy or like a bunch of Pokemon sitting behind it. But that is like kind of an option. Oh wait, there is it's time. It's time to bring out what's that
What's
card
that?
called? The Dash Button EX. How do I spell this? There we go. I found it. Its ability on play. It says when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, or yeah, during a turn you may heal all damage. I mean, it's Cheryl. It's Cheryl on play.
Okay,
So
right.
it does have 250 HP on a two prizer, which is like substantially less than 400. But it's still it's interesting, and you could turn snare this back up if you wanted to get that out of play, and then theoretically play it down again later. So I feel like that's a really interesting option. I don't know if it's particularly good. And you do have your ability to power yourself up again, which is nice. But I think Steven's Renegade EX, like, it's tanky and it's also self-sufficient with its ability. Mostly, it's not quite the level of Charizard where you're getting all the energy you need and more. You're a little bit short, but still pretty good. And you have some options for different attackers, like the Steven Skarmory 50 to 2, I think is fine, and could be nice in some situations. You could toss in, and there are some different Pokemon. So I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, and look, I like a tanky Pokemon, tanky style deck, and a lot of people do. So, it's going to have appeal to give it a go. So, and you do have the single prize attacking as an option, which is always good in decks as well. Might be inclined to put like even a 1/1 line in potentially just there's places where you attack with a single prize, or your opponent then has to have boss to win the game, and if they don't, you're going to win. So, it's nice to have that as an option for deck building. So, yeah, I think you've sold me. I put it as a question mark.
Now you
I'll,
think
I'll,
it's
I'll
the best I can format in
no,
6 months.
no, I don't. Look, even Cynthia's, and I don't think it's quite as good as Cynthia's. I call that decent plus. So I'll give this a decent plus as well. So I think this is a deck, which means you can play it in at least I don't know that I'm taking not necessarily, I don't know about playing it taking it to a tournament, but you can play it in live, have fun, and win enough games, right? You
So is
can
that
grind up.
like top 20? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I know there's a lot of decks. There's probably 50 top 20 decks though, right?
I don't
You,
know.
you-
I mean, I feel like with rotation, there's less, definitely. I don't
oh
know.
yeah,
I
well,
mean, I feel like it's solid.
I think there's probably a deck you could play and you can get the Arceus League. How about that?
But you can play like anything. Like my
You think that's
opponents.
like most of the decks out there?
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna say this is a random off-topic rant. My points in Arceus League have been like, I mean, some of them have been fine, but a lot of them have been like kind of bad, and also like AFK. Like half my not half, but like probably a third go AFK like halfway through the game, and then that's it. So like I was playing, I was like, I want to play. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to. There's like some talk about for alligator. Um, don't know if you've.
I don't remember. Go ahead.
Okay, so people have been talking about it. It's a deck that's been getting a little bit of hype. I was like messing with it. It's not great, especially in standard right now. It's okay though, but I was winning like most of my games. And then I switched to like Polyrath, um, and I would like won with that. Um, and it's just a big mess. I've been playing like weird stuff. I haven't been playing a ton of live, but been playing some. And yeah, I don't. I am not a fan of Arceus League. I feel like it's kind of janky. But regardless, um, yeah, I do think it is good enough to get Arceus League. I think Steven's Metagross CX is like potentially a top 10 deck once it comes out. I mean, new decks will get overhyped, so that'll push it up some. But yeah, I think it's
So so
pretty
you
solid. I think it's
so you
good.
think this could be the best of the traders Pokemon decks then potentially?
Yeah, I think it appeals to me the most being a with the tanky deck. I do like that. I don't play them that much, but I think they're cool. And it's very self-sufficient as opposed to like Cynthia's Garchomp EX, plus Cynthia's Roserade. We need a bunch of Roserades and a bunch of Goodbyes and a bunch of
Yes.
Garchomps, and you need the tool and you need the energy, which there's not really a way to get that on. Versus Steven's Metagross EX, you need the stage 2, which isn't like super hard, not free or anything. Then you need a basic, that's pretty free to get into play, and then you do in the stadium, which is again a little bit awkward, but not like super hard to get into play. I feel like it's pretty doable.
Yeah, and then I haven't thought about it. I don't know if you have either. You probably want some secondary attacker. I would like to have a single prize attacker, but since it just needs to be a metal or psychic Pokemon. It doesn't have to be the Stevens Pokemon. So I assume there's something good that could complement the deck there. Like especially a basic, you could slap one of in it. Like could attack for 3 energy. There's got to be something decent out there to fit that roles too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so all right, what do you want to go to next?
You mentioned Ethan's a little bit before the podcast, so let's talk about that. This is predominantly fire focused, and by the way, I was looking at Poke Beach, and it was like Ethan's Ho EX is revealed from the set, um, but it was like already revealed, so I don't know what that was about. But regardless, we'll start with that one, I guess. Once during a turn, on the Ethan's Hobo EX, which has 230 HP, weak to water and to retreat. But once during a turn, you may attach up to 2 basic fire energy from your hand to one of your benched Ethan's Pokemon, and your ability or your attack here for 4 fire does 160. Oh, and then you heal 50 from each of your Pokemon. That's kind of not good. I mean, you have the ability, but looking at the attack in a vacuum is pretty terrible.
Well, right, but the ability is very good. Now they have to be in hand, but obviously we're we can accelerate from hand with other decks anyway, and it does quote stack right. It's not it's you can as long as you have multiple ones in play, and it's a basic, so you should you get them set up and get a bunch of energy accelerated. I think pretty easily with this.
Yes. And then you have Ethan's Slugma. You have Ethan's My Cargo though, which has its attack for 3 fire, which I guess it's 3 fire, but you might want more. It's a 70
Right.
times multiply. You discard up to 5 fire from this Pokemon, does 70 for each card discarded in this way, potentially hitting 350, which is one-shotting pretty much everything. It is from this Pokemon. And then you have your ability, your Melt and Flow. If this Pokemon has no energy attached, it has no retreat, which is nice because Ethan's Ho EX only accelerates to benched Ethan's Pokemon. And then we have
Right.
Ethan's Quilava, which allows you once during a turn for each one to search out a supported card called Ethan's Adventure, feel and put into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And Ethan's Typhlosion, the stage 2 here for 1 fire does, or it can do 160 for 3, but what you're looking at is Buddy Blast, which does 40, 60 more for each Ethan's Adventure in your discard pile. And I'll read out that supporter now, which says search your deck for 3 or up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and basic fire energy, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Which is also really interesting. This is the first trainer's Pokemon that's had a supporter. I mean, we've seen like
Mhm.
Iono, which is a supporter, but that's not a card that supports Iono's Pokemon. This is the first supporter for their trainer's Pokemon that supports the trainer's Pokemon.
Right, because there are in these sets, these reveals, there are trainers supporters, but they're not, but they don't have Pokemon to go with those trainer, right? I
Yeah,
don't
there's
remember
like
the
Brock
examples.
Scouting, and Iris is fighting Spirit are actual trainers that don't have trainers Pokemon.
Right, but it's sort of a trainer supporter, right? Because it's that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we get like lots of cards like that, like Colossus Tenacity or something.
That's
But
true. So look, I mean, look, it reminds me back of the welder days, right? It's not as good as that, I probably, although but, it has its
um,
upside too. Maybe
I
in some ways,
guess maybe.
I mean, maybe it's better than welder.
Yeah, I don't know
Hopefully
about
not.
that.
I mean, I like playing welder decks, but if there's a deck, if this they put out something better than welder, that's all we're gonna see for like
Well,
three
welder
years, right?
decks were well, this is a porter, by the way, if you don't know, kind of like Gardenia's
Oh yeah.
Vigor, except it was like good, and had good Pokemon.
Yeah, and the sport what it did was slightly better, and it was super swingy. So it was to if you set up, you were one shotting your opponent's multi-prize Pokemon on your first turn, going second,
Yeah,
and then you would just
like
wipe.
3 prize Pokemon. It was absurd. But as I said, very
Yes,
swingy. They were like the decks were good, but they weren't like I mean they won a lot because people played them a lot, and being swingy means you can just like win a lot, but you can also lose a lot. So um, yeah, I mean Welder was like a good card, a very good card, but
yeah.
yeah,
So look, so Ethan's adventure, right? So first we need to get him in hand because we need to get him in the discard pile. But you're also going to play some. Mostly you're going to play it
well
probably for the
yeah, you
fire
want them
energies.
in the Ethan's Adventure in your discard. Yeah,
Sorry, you're gonna play. You don't mind playing a couple over the course of the game either, because you want to get those three energies. Generally, you're going to use your Nest Ball or Ultra Ball to get the Pokemon in play, but you need to get these energies in hand. So grabbing three with that is nice, because we
yeah,
need to
you do
grab a
have like
bunch of those.
Earthen Vessel. Superior
Yes,
energy retrieval, depending on what you're doing. So you do have ways to get them in hand as well. That's not like super hard, but it is nice, I guess.
right. Oh, you skipped what possibly is the best of the
Oh,
Ethan's
Ethan's
cards,
P2,
though.
yeah, the not fire
Yeah,
Pokemon.
and I'm not sure that you play this in the Ethan's deck, but it's Ethan's Pichu. So, and it's a baby Pokemon, 30 HP for retreat, attack for no energy, called, well, I don't know if it's the correct translation, but Sparkling Draw, does 30 damage and draws a card, and
Sparking
that's not
Draw.
bad. Sparking Draw. Imagine if we had this in pocket, right?
That would be pretty good, I guess.
But look, this is a card. I think there's a card to remember, and I'm going to put it in some decks, other decks too.
Like what deck?
I don't know.
This
None of our
isn't
decks are
that
good.
good.
Drawing cards is always good.
It
30
doesn't even draw
damage.
cards, it just draws one. But no, I mean like drawing a card I guess is good, but Cleffa draws like a bunch, and Cleffa's not even that good. It's like a solid card. Um, and then the 30 isn't like super meaningful. I think the best thing about this is like kind of a Badoo counter, but only kind of. So that's like fine. I guess it's a better Badoo counter than Elekid, which like people talk about. I've talked about it some. I've heard lots of people talk about it. It's like not really used. But yeah,
Now, I don't know why this is an Ethan's Pokemon. It doesn't fit with the
yeah. Well, it's
at
I think
all.
it's his
Maybe
like his Pokemon. It's like his main Pokemon.
okay. That's what I was thinking. It probably has to do with the lore or right the story behind it. So, but it doesn't fit with the deck at all. So anyway,
Oh,
I
it
still
does have free retreat, which is I mentioned that for Mag Cargo, but that could be
right.
nice here.
And this is free retreat on a basic, so you probably do need a basic with free retreat in this, because the Mag Cargo has free retreat, but that's the stage one. So and the basic is retreat cost of two, which is not good. So look, Ho Ho, I like it a lot. Accelerating energy, super good. The lights are starting to flicker here, so hopefully everything keeps working okay. Sky's getting a funny color outside too. Um, Look, I like fire decks. I always have. So think through my logic behind it. So, um, and so the Typhlosion has two attacks, right? The one
Yeah.
does 160 for three. That's not great, but the first attack is an interesting one because you're going to want to play the Qualiva for sure, and then you're going to play the Typhlosion. It does 40 plus 60 more for each
Ethan's
Ethan's
adventure.
Adventure. All right, which we had talked about that. So that's good. My power's flickering, so hopefully things keep going. By the way, I'm giving you a heads up
Okay,
there.
okay. So I'll say four. So hopefully that's all good there. But anyways, the my one thing like my so Ethan's Typhlosion obviously could be a really strong one energy attacker. That's very different than the Ethan's Mag Cargo, Ethan's Ho-Oh stuff. Ethan's Ho that's like I mean, you're mentioning Welder, which is like big energy, tossing
Yeah.
that all around. Um, and Ethan's Typhlosion is it reminds me a lot of Delphox and Braixen, which are in standard, I think. This the Serena's ones.
Uh, yeah, are they? Yeah,
Yeah,
kind
they
of.
are.
Yeah, and they were fun to mess around with. Not great. Look, my point. Look, if you're playing the Ethan's deck, you're playing the Qualiva. I think you're putting in like one Typhlosion. I
Yeah, I
think.
mean,
At least
Ethan's
I am.
Quilava's okay. It gets a supporter. I think Ethan's Adventure's okay. I'd probably rather be playing Professor's Research, Iono, like the top tier supporters most of the time over this. Being able to switch out's nice. It can kind of get things like working a little bit better. Um, Getting three
Yeah.
cards is not that many in a deck where you're looking at evolution lines and high amounts of energy. This is only getting you like halfway there or
Yeah.
something around that.
Well, look, I mean, maybe rather than playing, because if you got to play at least two of these, a 2-2 line of this, at least I would think if you're playing it, maybe just play four Pokegear, right? Because you want to get the Ether's Adventure in hand so you can discard them. So that the main focus of the deck here is the Mag Cargo, potentially doing what 350 on a single prize Pokemon. So that's very appealing if you can make that work.
Yeah, I think so. Like yeah, it is strong. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think you think it's a little bit better than I do. This is not. You said there were two that you thought were really good, two trainers.
Yeah, this was my second. This is my other one. So this is
Ethan's
one of
was
them. Yes.
better
So
than
I
like
but
Hop and N and Lily and stuff.
I yeah, we'll get to those. I'll tell you what I think of those as we get there. So, but we need
Okay.
to keep moving on, I think.
Yeah, let's move on to Misty, which oh by the way, there are some other cards that aren't trainers Pokemon, which I'll mention here, or one of them here. We got Misty's Gyarados, which is the main one. Or I'll start with I guess Misty's Magikarp is it's immune to bench damage and effects of attacks, which is good because it only has 30 HP. Dragapult's good,
Yes.
so that's nice. But anyways, Misty's Gyarados here, 180 HP on a stage one. And for one water, you discard the top seven cards of your deck. Does 70 times the amount of Misty's Pokemon use carded in this way. Um, and we actually only have three Misty's Pokemon in total. Misty's Magikarp, Mrs. Gyarados, and Misty's Psyduck. So ideally we want like I think at least one more, probably two more to like fill out the deck. They don't need to be amazing, they
Right.
just need to be Misty's Pokemon. So hopefully we'll see what Misty's Starmie or something. But anyways, you have Misty's Psyduck with Slapstick Jump as its ability, which is once in your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard the bottom card of your deck. Um, and then if you do, you discard all the cards attached to this Pokemon, and then you put Mrs. Psyduck on top of your deck, which is like really weird. I read this before
Yes.
reading Mrs. Gyarados, and I was like so confused. But obviously, you put it on, then you discarded Mrs. Gyarados to guarantee that damage.
Yeah, and you need to do and it is a basic, the Psyduck. So and if you can
Oh
get
wait,
all
sorry. There's also obviously your discard your Pokemon. There's a new item, or it's a reprinted item, Sacred Ash. Shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. So that is, I believe, reprinted here for Misties. There's no specific Misties trainer though.
Right. I mean, there's only these three Misty's cards. So right now, I mean, my comment for Misty's is not good, I will say. But they didn't really print. I assume there's more cards coming. If not, they really dislike Misty's if this is all we get. So, um, in the Psyduck, it does what? To make this setup, it's only one energy on the Gyarados, so that's nice.
And
But
it's
you have
like
to
decently
evolve.
tanky. I mean, it's nothing insane, but it's good for a single parser.
It is. Look, there's a good chance your opponent's going to one shot you though, right? So that means
Yeah.
you've got to have a Magikarp on the bench in all to make it happen. And then you've discarded all these Pokemon, hopefully, to do the damage you want to do. So now you got to get them not just back into the deck, but you got to get them on top of the deck. So which means you got to get these Misty Psyducks back onto your bench again to get them back on the deck. You're also discarding cards every time you do it. So if the game goes long, well, then you can't keep doing this because you're going to deck yourself out, right? I assume if you have like can't make an infinite deck, right? Because you have to. I assume if you can't discard, you can't put this back on top of your deck,
Yeah,
right?
it says if you do, yeah, which is referring to the discarding the bottom card. So, I mean, I feel like yeah, you're gonna run out of resources. Decks like this, we've seen a lot of them, and they're usually bad, or they're always bad actually. So yeah,
Yeah. Hopefully they put some more because Misty deserves more than three cards.
maybe Pokemon's like people have been traumatized by Misty enough from Pocket, so and this is what Misty gets in the regular TCG.
yeah. I mean, look, they do have to be careful because they don't want to make it too strong, right? Too many Misty's Pokemon and would make it too powerful. So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like decks like this, like if you have like 30 misses Pokemon in your deck, then you're never going to set up anyways.
yeah, but you only need one energy. It is a stage one. It's not a basic, but stage ones aren't that tough to set up, right? If they printed, say,
Yeah.
two more Misty Pokemon, that might be too much, right?
I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm expecting, to be honest. Like,
Another one or two. And I'd like to see like a Misty's trainer that actually is a Misty's. Yeah, right, with Misty, something that is a Misty's trainer
yeah,
specific.
flip a
So,
coin until you get tails. Um, no. Okay, so I think we can move on though to the last
yes.
of the ones that are not out in Japan, and we're spending more time on these because they've gotten less talk from other people. But we have the Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, the Marnie's Impidimp and Marnie's Morgrim. Wait, so are you looking at the translations or the
I'm
selected
looking at
cards?
translations, which has some of the names wrong. So,
Yeah. But yeah, there's the evolution line here. Minus Grimmsnarl EX was revealed a while ago, actually, with the ones that are out in Japan now. But anyways, you have your ability Punk Up, which says when you play this Pokemon to evolve it, you search a deck for up to 5 basic Darkness Energy and attach them to your Marnie's Pokemon in any way you like. Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX has its attack here, 180 for 2 Darkness, 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and you have 320 HP, which is like fine. And then you have Marnie's Morpeko for 3 colorless, which does 20, 40 more for each darkness energy attached to this Pokemon, um, which is an okay multiplier. It does have free retreat, but only has, again, 70 HP, not great. And then we do have Energy Recycler's Vac. This one, I mean, this is a card that's good, but I feel like it's kind of it was revealed with the Marnie's Pokemon, and so we're getting this back, which you're accelerating a lot of energy, and then your Marnie's Pokemon gets knocked out when it's all discarded, so that's good there to get those energies back.
right. I mean, the problem is, look, being able to do first, you play your one Marnie's Morpeko, um, I mean your Marnie's Grimmsnarl, and you put all five in. You do it's an on-play ability, so you can only do it once, and then you have to put all five energies on your Marnie's Morpeko,
Mhm.
and then that gets one shot. And now I've got to try to evolve to another stage two the following turn to make things happen. So I'm very concerned about the viability of that sequencing.
Yeah, no, this seems very sketchy. I think the better like that's a very big explosive option, but well, it's like kind of explosive, but even then, if you accelerate 5 energies, you're only doing 220 damage. If let's say you attach another one, which is pretty doable, then that's 260, which is like solid, but it's not one-shotting everything, certainly. But then you have, I think the thing you're looking at is just to play Marty's Grimmsnarl EX, kind of like Charizard EX, where you like have, you accelerate to a self and maybe some other stuff, start to build up a Marty's Morpeko. Um, I'd be swinging for 180, and then the 30 snipe, but ultimately then just like play Charizard, right? Because it can do more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not loving it. I want to just briefly mention the other. There's two more Marnie's evolution lines here, right? So
Um,
there's a Liepard.
no, that's wait, what? There is?
What isn't? I have this. See, this is why I'm not looking at the proxies. There's a Marnie's
Yeah.
Liepard and there's a Marnie's Scrafty.
Oh, okay. Oh, also there's a really important card, which is Marnie's or Spike at the Gym, which says once during a turn, each player's turn, that player may search their deck for Marnie's Pokemon
Oh,
reveal and put it into their hand. That's quite good.
yes. Yep, good. Thank you. Yeah, forgot about that. And that is the Marnie's supporter here, or we have the
Trainer.
we
Yeah.
trader. As well as the energy recycler actually came from the Marnie starter deck, so it's connected with it. So
Yep.
there's a Marnie's Light Part at stage one. It's not very good. Two energies. It does 70 more if their opponent's in the EX. I'm not excited about that. And then there's Marnie's Scrafty, which for three energies, Darkness, Colorless, does 160 and damages itself 30. So it puts you down to 90 damage, which like 160 on a single price isn't bad. But I'm not excited about it.
Yeah. I think Marnie's is definitely not good. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree. Yeah. So we're in agreement about that. So
We're gonna
uh,
move on to the other ones now, I guess.
yeah. Then these other ones are from the Journey Together set. This is what we're getting March 28th in live, I think, or that's when they go on sale, I guess, and then tournament legal 2 weeks later. So this is the cards that we get when rotation happens.
Yeah. And that's the same thing in Japan. Rotation has already happened there. These cards are out, and there are some tournament results as well. So I'll be mentioning those, but let's start with I want to start with Lillie's. So Lillie's has three lines. There's Lillie's Comfy, which can get any number of basic Lillie's Pokemon onto your bench with its attack for one colorless. And we have talked about these cards on the podcast as well before. And then for
Yep.
one Psychic, you can do 30, put this Pokemon and all cards attached into your hand. Then you have Lillie's Cutie Fly and Lillie's Rabombi. They both have free retreat, though very low HP. Lillie's Cutie Fly having 30, Lillie's Rabombi having 70, but its ability, inviting Wink on play. It says when you evolve it and you play it, you may have your opponent reveal their hand, put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto your bench, and then the attacker here is Lily's Clefairy EX, which is very the names like really smushed together on the proxy here, but
Okay.
your ability Fairy Zone is it says the weakness of each dragon Pokemon is now of your opponent's dragon Pokemon is now Psychic and apply weaknesses times 2. Your attack Full Moon Rondo for Psychic colorless is 20 more for each bench Pokemon, same as Burning Rondo, Lightning Rondo, and Blizzard Rondo, which is the last one not in standard now, and none of them will be standard with rotation. And then we have the tool card Lily's Pearl. If the Lily's Pokémon's card attached to is knocked out by damage from your opponent's attack, they take one less prize card.
Right. So look, that's a very nice tool, right? Taking less prizes. That's kind of the key to the game. And I've loved Entei and Suicune, so this is in that vein. It's kind of weird the way they've done that. The V's have rotated. They're doing it with the Rondos now with the EXs, and maybe there'll be more to come. I don't know about that. Um, okay. So look, it's appealing. What I don't like is 190 HP. That does not get me excited about that, I will say.
Yeah, but you do have the tool. So like if you view it as a 190 HP single prizer, then that's good. I mean, it's not absurdly good, but it's good. Um, and its
Right.
damage is good, and its ability is good.
And is the item to get tools in this set as well? I know there's something with tool related, right?
Um,
In something. Am I wrong about
I'm
that?
not sure. Yeah, I don't know
Order.
what you're. I don't know.
I
What is
thought there was
it?
something that grabbed you tools. But maybe that's not right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't believe it's in this set. There aren't too many trainers. Oh, yeah, no, there aren't too many trainers in the set. Well, there are. There's a bunch that work with the trainers Pokemon, but um, yeah, I'm not
All right.
sure.
Okay. There's something to get. Maybe it's the next one to get the tools that you just for
Oh,
those,
the
which
technical
wouldn't help
machines.
with
Sorry,
this.
you're also cutting out a little bit. But yeah, the
Okay.
technical machines,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but that
technical
doesn't help with this.
machine.
Yes. Is that
Um,
what it's called?
I don't know. I think that's what the translation was, or it's TM machine,
Yeah.
which is short for technical
Okay.
machine. But yeah, I have no idea when that's coming out, but yeah, that is just technical machines, or the TM. So it's like a little awkward to search up, but not that bad. I will say, looking at results in Japan, this card has seen a lot of play. Well, okay, so actually, the most important thing is that it's a solid attacker, right? It's nothing absolutely
Yeah.
insane, but it's solid. But then its ability is really good because the two best decks in Japan by like a substantial margin are Raging Bull EX, which is it's you can knock it out, but it's not really tanky, and then Dragapult EX, which is obviously pretty tanky, has no weakness, and they're both dragon. So this is a really good counter to those. It's not absolutely insane. I mean, it might be trading evenly, might be trading positively, but does allow you to deal with them in ways that you wouldn't be able to before.
Right. Like it would be nice if this was a Terra Pokemon, so you could play the stadium and expand your bench. We can't do that with it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
and
people are
I don't
playing it
know.
with Teal Mess Ogre and then expanding their bench and energy switching to get the energy on as well, because you need some way to do that. And then you can just toss down the
Yeah.
stadium.
So yeah, so of course you have more pieces and setting up could get less consistent, but I get that. And the other thing, so obviously the Rabambi pairs well with it. Forces you ideally you can fill up your opponent's bench, so it'll force you to play differently against it. I think it's gonna come up a little short, is my thought about it. The other thing is with the Rabambi, I'm thinking, we're losing Snorlax, but control it never fully goes away. It has to retool now that rotation happens, but this is also a control card potentially too, right?
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if you have Limitless open, but Lily's
Mm,
Clefairy EX has been played a lot. I don't think Lily's Rabambi EX has really been played at all. I'll quickly check actually. This is in City League. Yeah, it's not been played at all in City League tournaments. Lily's Clefairy EX has been played in somewhere between like uh, like 400 and 500 decks, so which is a bunch. It's more than I believe any other trainers Pokemon, though it could be wrong about
okay.
that. But yeah, it is like played a lot. And good though it's more so like a tech option.
The Lily's Clefairy. Okay, so but
Yeah.
they're not playing it with the Rabambi
No,
then.
I mean the Rabambi is okay. You need to get a little lucky. I mean, we played with Mawile EX, right? And that one you
Yeah.
need some amount of luck there. It's like okay, it's like a nice little option that can get value, but that's a card that you play, which is also an attacker, and sometimes like oh I'm in an awkward position, I need to get lucky here, and it's a basic. So Liz Rabambi very vulnerable and mediocre, I think. Not terrible, but good.
Okay, so it's really not a Lily's. The trainers get a bit ignored here, but well, I mean it's the Lily's Clefairy EX paired with Lily's Pearl, and the rest of it's other things. The rest, and that's it for the Lily stuff.
Yeah, and Lily's Pearl is obviously good. If you're just using it as a support Pokemon, I don't think it's that useful. I mean, I guess it's nice to have, um, but you probably wouldn't play it. You might have like Squawkabilly EX and Pheasantipty EX. You almost definitely have, which is a little tankier, but not like super tanky compared to Lily's Clefairy EX.
Okay, so a lot of it's just a Lily's Clefairy in some other deck,
Yeah, like
just for the
Gardevoir.
ability.
People are playing Slowking a lot, or like a
Okay.
decent amount. I think it's like top borderline top 10 deck. But yeah, obviously, you want to be able to one shot um, those Dragapults.
Right. I mean, so you could put it in like your Charizard Pidgeot deck, right? Put one of
Um,
these in just for the ability.
wait, what?
Like you could put in any deck is my point, right? Like Charizard Pidgeot, you want a one shot
No, well,
Dragapult.
no, it makes it Psychic Weak.
Oh, Psychic Week. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah, I was
Did you
blank.
think it was
Yeah.
Darkness or do you think it was any?
No, I was just kind of blanking out a little bit,
Uh,
and lights keep flickering here, so
oh, okay.
it's
Hopefully
a bit
that's all
distracting.
good.
But it's been doing that for a while, so
Oh, okay. Maybe you want to get that checked out. Anyways, so I think that stuff's good. I'm really excited for this. So if you don't know, Terapagos EX is not so happy post rotation, as it is losing double turbo energy and associated things like Cloth, which was this like basic box style deck. But then Lily's Clefairy EX, I think, is going to be a card that's kind of part of this box deck. People are playing it with, as I said, Teal Ogre EX as well.
okay. Yeah, look, I marked it down initially as decent, and which was fine for me. Not quite. I don't think it's as good as Cynthia's probably gonna be, but it has value.
Uh-huh. And then I think let's talk about the Hops Pokemon next. That's what I
Okay.
want to talk about. Hops Pokemon are doing quite well in Japan. I actually said Lily's is the best. I'm not sure. So Hops Zacian EX is a card that does 30 and 30. So 30 active, 30 bench for one colorless, and then your second attack, your Brave Slash from Metal 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 colorless does 240 and cannot attack or cannot use Brave Slash next turn. Hop Snorlax as well as the tool card Hop's Choice Band, as well as the Stadium card Postwick boost Hop's damage by 30. Hop's Pokemon's damage. The Hop Snorlax doesn't stack with itself, so you can do up to 90 extra damage. And then the tool reduces your attack cost by one colorless as well, which is like really good. Then you have the Hops Double. This is not really an attacker, but on play it's a Gust on an evolution on stage 1, which is cool here. It's searchable with Hops Bag, which it's like Buddy Buddy Poffin for Hops Pokemon. Um, then there is Hops Cramorant, and this does 120 for one colorless, but only if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prizes remaining. There are some other Hops Pokemon. I'm looking at the proxies. I don't feel like pulling those up. There's the
All right.
Corviknight and there's the Pinkerton EX, and I don't think those are good, but you
All
can
right.
mention
All
them if
right.
you want.
All right, just hang on. You went through some things quickly that I wanted to pause on
Oh,
slightly because some of them are for Hopstack. Some of them have value, I think, in general, potentially at least. I want to see your
yeah,
thoughts.
definitely.
So is Hopscan, yeah, Sandaconda. I
Okay.
don't think it's great. Um,
Yeah.
and it damages your own bench, which you don't really want with the hop stuff. So it's not making that appealing
You
there.
pair this with the Cynthia's Garchomp, with the Cynthia's Spiritomb and Cynthia's Garchomp EX.
Yeah, exactly. So or I'm always looking for something to pair with Ditto, right? So at least I am. I always
Uh,
am. So
Wait,
there we
which
go.
Ditto?
I mean Dodrio,
Oh,
sorry,
Dodrio.
Dodrio.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get the
Yeah.
damage in, but it's just 3 energy. So anyway, that one's not. I'm not getting excited about that. There's the Hops Corviknight, which you mentioned. It does, that's not great, right? It does 150, takes 60 less damage the following a turn, but not loving that. The first attack does 50 to the active, 50 to a bench. Anyway, it's stage 2, not worth it. The Zacian is pretty good. And the first attack is okay. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
and I will
good,
say
but
the Zacian. So our Caldon EX is being played a bunch in
Mhm.
Japan. I believe it's somewhere around the fifth or sixth best deck. It's like a solid meta deck. I'd say like tier 1, tier 2, somewhere around there.
okay.
If there's an
Yep.
S tier, it would being the Dragon decks. And then it's like quite good there. Pulling up just some random decks, it plays it plays hop support. So it's not like, it's like partially hops, partially our Caledon EX. We see like one hops Kermit in this list, just one copy of hops bag, no doubles. So just like some hop stuff going on here.
Yeah, so I don't. So Hops Bag is a nice item there. You get 2 Hops Basics right onto your bench. So good if you're playing a Hops deck. You said they play in Hops Cramorant? Is that what you said? Because that doesn't
E
seem good to me.
why?
So hey, perhaps Hops Cramorant does 120 for 1 energy. Okay, that's fine for Cramorant, but your opponent has to have 3 or 4 prizes, or it doesn't do anything. So most of the game, it does nothing. Nothing.
Oh, but some of the game it
Nothing.
does something.
Yeah, it does something. It's not like it's not one-shotting a multi-prize Pokemon. Those two, one or two, that one turn you can actually play it. So I'm
Well, I think
very
it's good
skeptical,
because
but
it's a single prize option. It's like solid. I mean, you said it was 120, but it's actually, but then you can boost it
you can
some.
boost it.
But then also on
You
top of
can.
that, I think it's a single prize option.
Yeah,
120
it's a
I mean, it's like regular Cramorant, right? Regular Cramorant's a good card.
it is, but I can do that every turn. I can do that my
Well, but
first
you
turn when I
also
go
need, well,
second.
theoretically, if you like draw your closed experiment, which are always the bottom 4 cards of your deck.
Well, yeah, look,
Um,
I'm not excited about the Hops Cramorant, but
I think it's
maybe I'm
really
wrong
good.
on that.
It's being so one of the decks. So obviously Badoo's a good Pokemon, and we're seeing these like
Yes.
Badoo box style decks. I've been collecting some data, and I've described it as that. We got like Badoo. You might have Frostlass, some different things, and then people are playing Hops
Hmm.
Cramorant, and actually like a bunch of them. Because if you're playing all single prizes, then you'll have multiple Hops Cramorant turns.
Turns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's doing 120 times the amount of damage that Badoo does. And Badoo's like so good.
Well, look, if you're playing a single prize deck, then yes, you can actually have 2 turns. Because especially if you have a game you can play at once, you might miss it. Some games you're going to miss it that one turn too.
I
So,
guess it's not like that hard. I mean, especially if you're playing Hop's Bag, then it's got to be pretty easy to
yeah.
find. And it's not
You
like
also have
something
to,
that's like super game swinging, but like as a solid one, I think it's decent.
yeah, you also have to switch into it. So anyway, I think the Hops Dub Wall is a more interesting card though, right? You get to when you on play when you involve it, you get to gust something up. It is your choice, right? So that's very good ability
Yeah,
on a
it's like
single prize Pokemon.
yeah, it's good. Obviously it's on play. It does have two retreats, so it could get stuck. I've been mentioning that with a bunch
Yeah.
of Pokemon. I don't know how big of a downside that is, but it is something to mention. But notably, I think it's something that like you do need to find, and it's way easier to find basics than stage ones. So it's like doable, but I don't think it's something that's amazing. In like something you want to be tossed into lots of different decks. I feel like cards like something like say counter catcher. Obviously, it's different, but I think that is much better like a lot of the time.
Yeah, look, it's a single prize. The attack cost is colorless, so yes, they can get it stuck. But assuming you're playing a deck with energies, which means not control, you can attack with it, and then they can't just leave it there stuck. So eventually,
Yeah,
you'll take
yeah,
knockouts
within a hop stack or within like
with
any
any
deck.
deck. Or because I'm also wondering if I'm to me, it's a consideration for other decks as well, right? Extra
Yeah,
gusting's a very good thing.
it is. It takes up
Um,
like bench space. I think it's solid. I definitely am not like saying it's bad. I don't think it's that good. I think it's okay. Um,
I'm thinking like if I'm playing a Terapagos deck, right, and I got the engine to search stuff out, and I got the big bench, and like in the bench will get collapsed at some point. I could slap this in, maybe a deck like that or something.
yeah, kind of like how Noctowl is used.
Right, and I can Rotom for the Wooloo on my first turn, and then I can do it.
Yeah, that's
Down.
nice. Um, but I
So
like
I
Hop's
think
Pyramid a little more in general.
okay. I mean, but the big thing is the Zacian here, right? So which I think is okay. Is my thoughts on it. It's not great. Since it's 4 energy, that's a big negative to the Zacian, right? That's the big card of the hops, right?
Yeah, if it you can kind of view it as like three with the tool, then it
Yes.
becomes I think quite good. You do need to find the tool and obviously the Pokemon and get them together. You were mentioning Steven's Metagross earlier. This could be an option. I know it's the one that popped into my mind. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Definitely for something like that, doing a little more damage.
Yeah. So look, I think the hops is okay anyway. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So and you like it a little bit more than I do, but it's definitely not a bad trainer
Yeah.
set of poke cards.
Then do you want to talk about Ionos or ends next to wrap things up here?
Why don't we do Ionos really quickly?
Okay. So
Unless you want to spend more than quickly. I'm not a big fan of Ionos, I would
yeah,
say.
no, I'm not either. It allows you to accelerate the Iono's Belly Bolt to your other Lightning Energy to your other Iono's Pokemon from your hand, and then on top of that, you're able to use the Iono's Kilowattrel, which can have when you can discard energy from it to draw cards. Notably, this is kind of in some ways better than it's pretty similar to the Refer Room, except you can store energy on it, so you don't need to draw into the energy to be able to use the ability, which is kind of good, but whatever. You have Iono's Voltorb, which is a mediocre single prize attacker, and there's also an Electrode. And then this has been played in Japan with the Raging Bolt, but it's not like the main way to play it or anything.
Okay, right. Because my comment is there's not really a good attacker, right? Like I have
Yeah,
what am I powering up? I'm powering up like the Ionos Electrode, which I could
yeah,
do a
or
hundred.
Voltorb. And Voltorb does like more, but it's not great.
Yes, I can do that. Or I can use Electrode's first attack, which I knock myself out. I do 100 damage, so unless I have something to boost my HP, I knock myself out, and I flip a coin, and if heads, my opponent's knocked out. Otherwise, which you usually end up being tails, you just knock yourself up and give a prize for nothing. So
Yeah, which is broken, banned, and expanded. No. So yeah, it's kind of like, and then I think Iono's valuable. It does 230 for 4, which is like okay, it's not that good, but it's like usable. Which I think is an attacking option within the deck. But regardless, I don't think Iono is good. I definitely think it's the weakest of the 4 trainers and also the least interesting. But then we have Ends. Ends is built around the main card is Enzoric EX here with trade, discard one, draw two. So it is a draw engine. Some of these trainers Pokemon have draw engines. You have the Ionos, and some of them have like stuff like the Ethans and Cynthia stuff. But then Enzoric EX is a true draw engine, which could be played in other decks. And you attack Night Joker for 2 darkness. Choose one of your bench Pokemon, Ends Pokemon's attacks, and use it as this attack. And we are losing Dark Patch, but we are replacing it with Ends PP Up, which is an item card, which is like Dark Patch. It's any type of energy to your benched Ends Pokemon. Um, and then the attacking options, I'm just going to run through real quick.
Yeah.
And Ends Darmanitan for 2 colorless on a stage 1 does 30 for each energy in your opponent's discard pile, and a Darmana Cannon for Fire colorless on a stage 1 does 90, and then you discard energy, all the energy from this Pokemon does 90 Snipe. I'll say the Ends Reshiram here does 20 for each damage counter on this Pokemon, or 170, which you can just copy. I think the other ones are all bad. I'm just going to say that, so I don't really feel like reading them out.
Yeah, like the problem is I mean, in the end, Zorak is what got they dropped at World, and people got excited about it. But the attacking options, I would say, are disappointing. That's the problem with it. So yeah, that's my concern, right? What am I going to actually attack with? So you think what I'm attacking with Reshiram, I guess?
Yeah, Reshiram, and then also Darmanitan. I mean, so keep in mind there is no Manaphy post rotation. And Ends Darmanitan is not as good as Radiant Greninja as an attacker. It cannot hit 2 bench Pokemon, but it's on a similar level. And obviously that card was really good. And now you have you just have something I think that's pretty solid there. And then the first attack doing like based on bench damage, or no, discard energy. Sorry, is
Right.
pretty like solid. I mean, it's not amazing, but there are times when it's really good.
Yeah, no, the first attack will, and now the ends copies has to be the Zorak copies from the bench, right? So it's not the discard,
Yeah. So does
right?
you do need to get the evolutions in play.
So you got to have the evolution. So you need the deck space of the basic, the evolution. Fill up your bench with them. The first attack has options when it's useful. I'm concerned about the second attack copying it just because I'm losing my energies on my Zoroark,
Yeah. Oh,
and I have to
sorry.
get it powered up.
There's another card, which is Ends Castle, which lets you have free retreat. So then you accelerate to the bench. So then you retreat into a different one if you use that attack.
Yeah, no, look, the
Hmm. Are you there? I cannot hear you. Anyway, so so the Ends Darmanitan also can be played by itself in other decks. So that is something that is definitely pretty interesting, I think, as an option. I was mentioning, I talked about the Badoo deck. There's actually so much cool stuff with the Badoo deck, like Volcanion and stuff. But regardless, you have a lot of different options with that. I think you have Reversal Energy as well. You don't have Double Turbo, which I've mentioned a few times, but you do have Reversal, which I think is legit, like a legit deck. I'll be talking about that at some point in the future as well. But regardless, we've certainly gone on for a little while, but we hope you enjoyed the podcast. So consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all the good stuff. Um, Hopefully, Uncommon Fossils, all good over there. But as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.